think it is making progress. I think where we're probably at a phase at the moment is that the market's finding its feet with innovation. I think there's a realisation that there's a need to innovate, to change. People talking a lot about customer centricity. And then that's happening, but I think people behind the scenes, it's like you've got this sort of swan-like scene at the moment whereby everyone's having this debate, elegant debate above the water, but underneath people are paddling furiously to try and work out what that actually means for their business and what they're capable of achieving. Yeah, I think that really people are understanding how do you unlock the value of data, for example. So we've heard this morning a lot around data and how a lot of these themes come back to data. But how do you really unlock the value in that? So from a claims perspective, for example, how do you take all that claims data, that claims information around people's experiences, and how do you add value back into the business, first of all? So not just about how you handle a single claim, which is similar in nature next time round, but how do you add value to the business in terms of that experience? And then how does the business take that from its claims team into the business, and how does it then pass that on for customer experience? Yeah. So that's still being worked out. People are trying different things, but there's certainly, and new technology will help with some of that, so it'll help speed some of that up. There'll be efficiency gains, there'll be a slightly different way of doing things. But I think there's probably a lot of talk at the moment in terms of what progress is being made around some of the innovation with insurance companies, but I certainly think insurance companies are taking it seriously. Yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because just as we've got to the stage where insurers are realising the value of data, you've got GDPR hanging over them in terms of what does it actually mean. I think it comes back, actually GDPR is almost like the technology question in itself. It's about having a strategy. And I think if insurers have a strategy as to what they want to do with data, what data do they need to achieve that, what are the risks with having that data, and what are the opportunities, then they can make something happen, notwithstanding GDPR on the horizon. I think that AI will undoubtedly, and Internet of Things will undoubtedly make changes to insurers. I think it will do it in different ways. I think AI in particular will drive efficiencies within the businesses, which hopefully will reduce the cost of business. Talked earlier about the London market, and the London market has to reduce the cost of doing business. So I think that AI will and can help with that. I think the Internet of Things will help with customer centricity, and again we spoke this morning about bespoke products, about making the experience more bespoke for customers, and I think the Internet of Things will help with that. It's got a big role to play with that. So I do see personal data being used, notwithstanding some of the challenges which are sort of hanging around in the form of GDPR. And people are worried about GDPR, and rightly so, because they should take stock of what it means for their business. And they don't want too much data. They've got to work out what data do I need and why. Really easy question to answer for today, much more difficult when you don't know what you might need tomorrow. But they're the sort of challenges for insurers. But I think they will use it, and it will pass on benefits to the business. I think the customers being insured, I think the focus of insurance being about them as individuals or entities. So it's this bespoke theme of customer centricity and bespoke nature of the products and the service. And when you think about what that also means when insurance companies look at things like value adds and further touch points with customers, well, they've got to be relevant touch points as well. So if you have a situation whereby you've got an insured who might need risk management or support or information to make their lives a bit easier in understanding what risks they're taking on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis. If insurers have got that data and they can start using it in the next 2 to 3 years in order to add that value and work out how can I offer my customer something which I've never been able to offer them before. We're probably maybe in the 3 to 5 years there rather than 2 to 3, but that's the sort I expect us to start making some headway on that. I think for my business in terms of a law firm, I think there's two sides to this. I think there's the support that we offer insurance companies in terms of just the practical things of making some of this happen. it's really easy to sit down and have a load of ideas around this is what we need to be doing in the insurance market. There's a real challenge then in taking that and making it happen, because there's regulation, there's reputational risks, there's legislative risks, and actually picking your way through that is quite difficult. So I think from our perspective, we'll be spending a lot of time with insurers on that side of the business, working out the best way of them unpicking some of that. I think on the claims side, I think what you'll have is a continual trend actually in terms of customer experience. So it's as important to get the right legal answer, or it's as important as well as getting the right legal answer to leave the customer the right experience. You're an extension of insurance companies. So I think that will impact on legal businesses and all service providers of the insurance market, because if they can't reflect the fact that it's about the customer and that the customer might buy an insurance policy because of the experience, if you're an extension of that experience, then all service providers are going to have to get on board with that, which is quite a challenge when you work for a number of insurers, because you're going to have to wear a different hat for different insurers. I can see AI having a greater role. I'm not sure I see it taking over. There might be certain sectors which it will have a bigger role, and I think if you pick the law out there as another example, they tend to be in the heavily commoditised areas where actually people don't want to be spending a lot of time working because there's not the rewards in those areas. So I think that's a win-win if you've got someone who's buying on price and not prepared to pay very much, and AI is a solution which meets those needs, and that's a match made in heaven. But I think a large part of what still needs to be achieved is AI will enable, it'll be an enabler, it'll empower people to make decisions. I think what you will start to get is much better evidence-based decisions rather than just sort of intuition. The amounts of times people say, well, this is what we need to do just because I know, trust me, gut instinct. I think we'll be able to tackle some of that, and you'll get better quality decisions being made, and AI will help with that.